That old goat can't fire me. I'm gonna give him a piece of my mind.
Lenny Leonard is perhaps the most bland character in The Simpsons. Or is he? If he is indeed such an uninteresting character, why are we all obsessed with him? Well, after eons of searching in my eternal abyss, I've finally come to an answer. You see, when looking at Leonard plainly, we aren't told the full picture. The full picture which I finally realized. Because I utterly, honestly, and unapologetically believe that Lenny Leonard is dead. Let me explain. In the Series 8 episode of The Simpsons entitled Mountain of Madness, Lenny is fired and then, in a drunken rage, he loses his footing and falls to his death. But if this is indeed the case, then who's this guy? Who's this swaggering, charismatic meme of a character? And folks, what I'm about to say may shock you to your very core. This man is Lenny Leonard. For you see, Lenny was replaced with an identical clone from none other than the Soviet Union. In the Panda Rape episode, Homer refers to Lenny as a war hero, which must mean that he served in one of those war things. And in the episode entitled Duckless, we see on Homer's driving license that he was born in 1956. And because Lenny is in the same year as him in multiple high school flashbacks, it is safe to assume that he too was born at a similar time. This would mean that by 1974, Lenny would graduate from high school, as their prom is often depicted to take place in the 70s. Now, it would most likely take at least 4 years to complete a degree on nuclear physics, which Lenny does indeed claim to have. During the 20th century, the wars in which the US participated mainly took place in the 60s and 70s during the most prominent period of the Cold War. At this time, Korea, Vietnam, and the Bay of Pigs all most likely took place when Lenny was still in education, which only leaves the invasion of Grenada, because the invasion of Panama took place at the same time as Series 1. Therefore, it is safe to assume that not only did Lenny achieve great glory in the invasion of Grenada in 1983, but his talents also caught the eye of the Soviets, who began a plot to replace him with one of their own. But why Lenny, you may ask? Well, first of all,
Don't ask questions.
And secondly, I was about to tell you anyway. On the surface, Lenny is a character who blends into the background inconspicuously, meaning no one would be the wiser. However, Lenny is not a simple blue-collar worker. He clearly has some insight into the nuclear secrets the plant holds. Why else would the bank choose to put him in charge when Mr. Burns went bankrupt? Additionally, under the surface, Lenny commands a great deal of power. He's number 12 in the Springfield chapter of the Stonecutters after all, meaning he outranks Mr. Burns. Now, the Stonecutters did disband before Lenny's death and transitioned to the No Homers Club, and although we aren't told his rank, it is safe to assume he had a similar position of power. But perhaps you're still wondering, what did the Soviets ultimately hope to achieve replacing Lenny Leonard with one of their own? And well, the answer's in the question. The surname Leonard originates from the old Germanic name Leonhard, which suggests to me that Lenny's family originates from Germany. So I wonder why the Soviets would want a spy with a connection to Germany working close to the US sensitive secrets during the Cold War period. That's right. Soviet Lenny Leonard was sent to the US with the express purpose of taking over West Germany. It all makes sense now. You fools all doubted me. But wait, there's more. It's quite possible that some of the more educated members of the audience are thinking, it's been almost 40 years and the Soviet Union are no closer to capturing Germany than they were before. Also, the Cold War ended and the Soviet Union no longer exists. I have taken these facts into account, and I've come to the conclusion that the Lenny plan, or Lenny and the Jets, was a failure. But when it was time for Soviet Lenny to leave, he chose to stay lurking in the shadows. Until finally, at the point of Lenny's unfortunate death, he took his place. So the reason why we all love Lenny is because he is just like us. Now, I'm not saying that we're all Soviets deep down. I mean, I'm not. But we relate to his friendly nature, his optimism, and the troubles he faces. Because, just like many others, Lenny was enticed with the American dream. Working a well-paid job with good friends, smoking cigarettes, getting drunk after work, joining the NRA, and maybe soliciting a prostitute. In short, the Lenny we all know and love is slightly different from the previous. He knows the value of life and also when to push those around him. But he also knows how to form lasting relationships. Lenny is wise to the techniques.
I'll be the number 2 guy here in Scranton in 6 weeks. How? Name repetition, personality mirroring, and never breaking off a handshake.
I'm Lenny. This is Carl and Homer. I'm Lenny.
But despite this all totally making sense and the only logical explanation for Lenny's slight change in demeanor, we will never know the truth. As Disney doesn't appear to be pulling the plug anytime soon, the show will continue, and in doing so, the flashbacks will progress in time. We now live in a reality where The Simpsons can do a flashback episode 10 years ago and Homer can look at a YouTube tutorial on how to deliver a baby. So anyway, despite this information being completely substantial in terms of evidence, unfortunately, the world will never know the truth, and the secret will remain in the abyss with me.